At 20 years old, he owned fear. At 30, fear owned him. One night, the world watched an untouchable king collapse, not from a punch, but from everything inside him. This is not the story of a boxing loss. This is the story of how the most dangerous man on earth lost control of himself. And once that happened, nothing could save him. Before the scandals, before the prison sentence, before the headlines, there was a myth. Mike Tyson was not just a heavyweight champion. He was a walking nightmare, the youngest heavyweight champion in history. 22 knockouts in his first 23 fights. Opponents shaking before the opening bell. He didn't just beat men, he erased them. People saw power, they saw rage, they saw destruction. But behind the violence was a fragile mind, a boy raised in chaos, a fighter held together by discipline. And that discipline had a name, Cus D'Amato. When Tyson had Cus, he had a leash on his demons. When Cus died, the leash snapped. And that is where the real story begins. Because legends don't fall in the ring first. They fall in silence. Cus D'Amato was more than a trainer. He was a father, a psychologist, a prison guard for Tyson's worst instincts. Cus taught Mike one thing above all. Fear can be controlled. Every day, Cus drilled discipline into him. Wake up, train, read, visualize, repeat. Tyson didn't think. Cus thought for him. He built Mike into a weapon, but with rules. No drugs, no women, no chaos, no distractions. Cus knew what Mike really was, a traumatized kid with nuclear power in his fists. Then Cus died in 1985. Mike Tyson was 19 years old, suddenly rich, suddenly famous, suddenly alone. And the man who controlled his mind was gone. And the world rushed in. New managers, new friends, new temptations, new voices telling him he was unstoppable, but no one telling him no. The discipline cracked, the structure vanished, the hunger softened. Tyson kept winning. But something was missing. Inside the ring, he was still terrifying. Outside the ring, he was drifting. Cus once said, "Discipline is doing what you hate like you love it." Without Cus, Mike loved nothing but excess. And when the discipline died, the collapse began. Because when a man has unlimited power and no one to guide him, the danger is not losing. The danger is believing you can't. When Cus died, the world gained Mike Tyson. But Mike Tyson lost the only man who could save him. And the next enemy wasn't in the ring. It was fame itself. At 22 years old, Mike Tyson had everything. Mansions, tigers, gold chains, Rolls Royces, private planes, an entourage that never slept. Money came faster than maturity. He spent millions in a single night, hundreds of thousands on jewelry, millions on homes he barely lived in. But the real cost was trust. Everyone wanted something, managers, friends, women, strangers. And Tyson didn't know who was real. Cus taught him discipline, but no one taught him finance. No one taught him boundaries. No one taught him adulthood. The gym became optional. The parties became mandatory. Training camps turned into vacations. Focus turned into fantasy. Inside his mind, he was still that scared kid. But the world treated him like a god. And gods don't listen to warnings. By the late 1980s, Mike Tyson was drifting away from boxing and toward self-destruction. He fired the people who told him the truth. He surrounded himself with people who told him he was perfect. And perfection is the most dangerous lie. His marriage collapsed. His behavior became erratic. His training became lazy. He was still champion, but he was no longer prepared. and the world was about to witness something it had never seen before. An invincible man being exposed. The money didn't destroy Mike Tyson. It removed the last wall between him and his worst instincts. And then came Tokyo. February 11th, 1990. Tokyo, Japan. Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas. On paper, it was a joke. Douglas was a 42-1 underdog. Tyson didn't train seriously. He partied, he skipped discipline, no urgency, no fear. Douglas, meanwhile, had trained like his life depended on it. His mother had just died. He fought with grief, with hunger, with purpose. From the opening bell, something felt wrong. Tyson was slow. His head movement was gone. His combinations were sloppy. Douglas kept standing, kept punching, kept believing. By the 10th round, the unthinkable happened. Tyson collapsed to the canvas, not from power, but from reality. The referee counted. The world froze. 10. Mike Tyson was no longer invincible. That single punch destroyed more than a title. It destroyed the myth. And when the myth died, everything else followed. He tried to smile. He tried to explain. But the damage was done. Fear had left him. Opponents now believed he could be beaten. And worse, Tyson himself knew it too. The punch didn't just knock him down, it cracked the illusion forever. And when a man built on fear loses it, what does he have left? 2 years later, Tyson was no longer fighting in arenas. He was fighting in court, accused, convicted, sentenced to prison, from world champion to inmate. The cameras that once worshipped him now hunted him. The crowd that once cheered now judged him. Inside prison walls, there was no fame, no power, no roar of a crowd, only silence. Tyson later said prison forced him to face himself. For the first time, there was no fight to hide behind, no opponent, no applause, no distraction, just a man and his mistakes. 3 years passed. When he came out, the world expected a monster again. But something had changed. He still had strength, but he had lost his aura. He was famous, but no longer feared. And fear had been his greatest weapon. The comeback began, but it was fragile, built on money, built on desperation, not on discipline. He escaped prison, but he never escaped himself, and the next fight would prove it. In 1997, the world watched Mike Tyson face Evander Holyfield again. This fight wasn't about belts, it was about pride, control, redemption. But inside Tyson's mind, something was broken. When he couldn't dominate, he snapped. The bite. One of the most infamous moments in sports history, not a punch, not a knockout, but pure loss of control. In that moment, the world realized Mike Tyson wasn't dangerous anymore. He was unstable. Fines followed, suspensions followed, money vanished. By 2003, Mike Tyson declared bankruptcy. Over $300 million earned. Gone. Not stolen by opponents, not taken by judges, but burned by choices. Fighting continued, but the fire was gone. He was still fighting, but now it was against himself. And no referee could stop that. He didn't lose everything in one night. He lost it one decision at a time. Mike Tyson's story is not about boxing. It is about what happens when trauma meets power, when fear meets fame, when discipline disappears. He was built as a weapon, but never taught how to live as a man. Cus D'Amato gave him structure, the world gave him temptation, and nobody gave him peace. Today, Tyson speaks calmly, reflectively, older, wiser. He admits his mistakes. He studies his past. He tries to understand the boy he once was. Because the real tragedy isn't that he lost his belts. It's that he lost control of himself before he ever learned who he was. History remembers the knockouts, but not how close he came to saving himself. No, Mike Tyson didn't lose everything in the ring. He lost it the moment fear stopped guiding him. And ego took the wheel. And that is the real reason the most dangerous man in the world destroyed his own kingdom. Silence. Fade out.